Hi, this is Divine Insight, take 13. Now today we're wanting to discuss the Grand Gallery and how come it wasn't mentioned, or it's not mentioned in a lot of the books. I got one here, Decoding the Pyramids, and there's very, very little mention of it, its influence, and how they were able to incorporate the plug to seal off the Grand Gallery which led to the King's Chamber. Now, I studied this when I was in grade 8, and that's like 50 years ago. And I did come up with a concept that was really feasible, but I have never seen it duplicated since I thought of this reality. Maybe this is a secret that's not wanting to be told. Okay, so we're going to explain a little bit of how I think the Grand Gallery and how the plug was incorporated to block off the entrance. If you notice right here, this is representing the plug, okay, and these lengths here, that's representing the floating floor at the bottom of the Grand Gallery, which is covered up by the steps. And nobody really witnesses these the floating floor because they all want to go and see the energy of the of the King's Chamber. Now, there is a keystone here in the grand step, which if tilted. Now, okay, this Grand Gallery, it's 153 feet long and 26 feet high. And the whole purpose of this structure was to put the plug in, so that thieves wouldn't be able to come in and steal the riches, whatever, you know, and the gold and all that. So now, what I believe is that they had a lever which released the grand step, which forced this part of the floor, which is now part of the floor, down, which forced this one to push this over, because there is a notch in the plug, which we cannot explain what this notch is for. Well, it held up part of the floor, and as it pushed it down, it slid and jammed itself into the entrance. The entrance is still off the picture here because of the scale. I wanted to show you all that. So now, this plug, falls down and slides into the plug. Big deal. So now, this, big deal, because people don't want to accept how it was incorporated. Or how else are you going to get tons and tons of plug to stop? I mean, not stop, but sit there and then release some sort of tension lines, because when it dropped, it broke in half, or it may even broke in 3 pieces. There's a whole, I don't know how many, but it did break. And when it broke, as it was falling down, because it's so big, that it just slid right down. Now, this part of the floor here seals up the bottom. Now, I've always had trouble trying to explain myself. This is why I don't get much respect. This is why I'm trying to do it on the video. Now, as this sank down, it would cover up the bottom of the floor. But here's the secret. Here's the secret. This, as the body of the pharaoh, because he died before the pyramid was finished, was put into the coffer without any major ceremony or anything like that. And remember, I said there's a self-sacrificing burial team. Well, I believe that the ceiling of the Grand Gallery had an opening, a secret opening, that would lead to a secondary Grand Gallery. And the self-sacrificing burial team would pull the body of the pharaoh and his wife up through the secret passage. Now, as this fell down, the length of this would be no more than the height of the Grand Gallery itself. So they would take the body and pull it through the system, which would lead to another Grand Gallery. And this secondary Grand Gallery leads to another chamber, which is the capstone size inside the pyramid, about 300 feet across. Where the pyramid is about 300 feet across, you'd find another secret chamber. And this Grand Gallery would have the depictions of the hieroglyphs and all that, showing where the pharaoh is. Now, we can't find this because these guys, they're really secret. They're really sneaky, and they're really smart too. Because how are you going to be able to keep a secret unless you tell, unless you get two stories exactly the same? So we have two Grand Galleries, we have two hidden chambers. So, and that's the only way you can keep a secret, is by telling the truth twice, if you understand my meaning. So now, as this stepstone, the grand step, is released, it forces this to fall down, pushing this down, pushing this over, pushing this plug down, sliding down, breaking it in half, and entering the area where it was supposed to jam the entrance. And they pull the body to a secondary Grand Gallery, like I said before, self-sacrificing team. But in the same sense, we can't find this opening because as the self-sacrificing burial team would release another trap, which would release the singing sand into this chamber, filling this up. So there wouldn't be any void here. Now, when you did find this part, and you did find the opening, it would leak sand all over the place, blocking this entrance again. So there's quite a bit of sand in here, which would scare the bejesus out of anybody going this way to his chamber. And that's the only way you're going to be able to conceal all of this. Now, these slabs sealed themselves as they went down to the base of the Grand Gallery, and they were interlocking just like this part here, which would cause them to almost like a tongue and groove. And all this is my theory. Just like Einstein had a theory of relativity, it was really easy to understand, but in the same sense, it's still a theory. We haven't got the mechanics to be able to reveal when his theory becomes fact. Now, I haven't got the plans here neither to reveal whether or not this is just a theory until we find the opening to a secondary Grand Gallery, like I said. Oh, here's another part. This step here was lowered in place. Okay, it wasn't jacked up, because this is a lot of tonnage here. It wasn't jacked up from the floor to put it in this place. It was part of the ceiling of the Grand Gallery. And we're going to discuss that in a second, as soon as I get back to you after our break.